Add 42 Dugg to the list of rappers that are starting to speak their mind about how they feel about the street life and how it's affected their career in the music industry. 42 Dugg just dropped a powerful warning on Twitter. Don't go to jail. People forget about you. For an artist who once sat at the very top of Detroit rap, those words hit harder than any verse. But where does this warning come from? Because 42 Dugg ain't no stranger to the jail system itself. But it's got fans speculating about where this new message is coming from. But to understand, we got to rewind a moment. His career collided with the federal system. Deon Hayes, better known as 42 Dugg, wasn't just another Detroit rapper. By 2020, he was moving like a superstar. Signed to Yo Gotti's CMG and Lil Baby's 4PF, Dugg had a Billboard charting single and packed shows and even respect from Atlanta's Hustle Gang. He was the kind of artist that the streets and the industry believe in at the same time. He was really seeing a lot of major moves out here in the rap game. Now, outside of all his success in the rap game, 42 Dugg was fighting a battle with the feds. His problem started at a gun range when prosecutors said he was caught firing a weapon, despite being a convicted felon. That one mistake spiraled into federal charges, and by 2021, Dugg was negotiating plea deals just trying to stay out of prison. Now, it's one thing to have the law looking for you, but to have the feds coming looking for you is a whole nother animal. And after a heavyweight bout with the feds, the final decision was 6 months in federal custody. A slap on the wrist compared to what it could have happened. But instead of reporting to prison in April 2022, like the court had ordered, 42 Dugg made a decision that would cost him everything. Now, for some reason, 42 Dugg simply didn't show up. He skipped his surrender date, kept moving like he was untouchable, and the feds issued a warrant. Now, a couple weeks later, after sitting courtside at an NBA playoff game, Dugg flew home to Detroit on a private jet, where federal marshals were waiting. Now, at this point, you gotta admit, 42 Dugg was tripping. You going state to state, you on TV, courtside at games, knowing there's an open warrant for you, of course they're gonna be waiting for you at the airport. But man, at that time, I guess he just didn't care. Now, after being apprehended, when 42 Dugg finally stood in front of a judge, he tried something new no one saw coming. He claimed to be a sovereign citizen, someone who believed that they were exempt from federal laws. To the court, it sounded like a desperate loophole. Now, for those of you who are scratching your head trying to wonder what 42 Dugg meant by a sovereign citizen, from what I can see online and most information is, being a sovereign citizen is being exempt from certain laws and regulations, but I have yet to see a clear-cut example of somebody using sovereign citizenship as their defense in court and it actually working in somebody's favor. And especially not for a rapper who spends plenty of money, flies all over the country, and looks privileged from the outside looking in. And on top of that, prosecutors weren't amused either. They argued that his refusal to report wasn't just arrogance, it was proof that 42 Dugg had no respect for the system and that the gamble backfired in the worst way. That slap on the wrist, the 6-month sentence that he had received, ballooned into a full year. And because of his guilty plea for illegal firearm possession, Dugg now faced additional charges that could add up to 5 more years behind bars. On top of that, thousands of dollars in fines and 3 years of supervised release once he got out. For a rapper who once had the summer on lock with We Paid, the message was clear. The system doesn't care about your hits, your fans, your fame. When you play with the federal law, the consequences stack up fast. 42 Dugg went from rap's rising star to just another name in the system. But behind bars, his reality was getting harsher than we knew. Reports tied him to a Detroit area crew known as the Hustle Boys, a connection that made his time inside even more dangerous. Whether true or not, whispers about gang ties followed him, painting a target on his back. And that's where his recent tweet starts to make sense, because prison ain't just about the loss of freedom. It's about being forgotten. When 42 Dugg finally returned home, fans, peers showed him love, but the momentum was gone. You gotta realize We Paid was one of the hottest albums in the streets in 2020. And for 42 Dugg, he was at the height of raps from the time that he got into the rap game. And by the time he got released, new artists had already filled the lane he once controlled. His records weren't charting the same. The industry had moved on. For someone who had We Paid running the summer of 2020, The fall off was brutal. His tweet wasn't just advice, it was a confession born from the painful truth that fame doesn't wait. In this latest tweet, 42 Dugg wasn't just talking to fans, he was speaking to the streets and to the rappers just like him. Jail doesn't care about your hits. The streets might respect your silence, but the industry forgets your name. For someone who once had a direct pipeline to Atlanta's biggest stars, from Lil Baby to Yo Gotti, that lesson came too late. I mean, look at Lil Baby's career. It isn't where it was when 42 Dugg went to jail. The same with Yo Gotti, even though Yo Gotti is taking on the role more of a boss. The same fans who once chanted his lyrics moved on to the next wave. And while rumors of his ties to Detroit's Hustle Boys gave him credibility on one side, it only made the industry more hesitant on the other. Whether 42 Dugg can climb back remains to be seen. But his warning is clear. If you got talent, don't waste it on no time behind bars. Because in this game, out of sight really does mean out of mind. But let's take a quote directly from the tweet that was put out there by 42 Dugg. He said, "Don't go to jail. You will be forgotten. Nobody cares about you when you're in jail." It's sad, but it's true. So if you're wondering why nobody did something to one of you, they might have realized you just ain't worth it. He said a lot in that tweet. He also alluded to the fact that in the streets, somebody might come home from jail and they've already cleared the slate in their mind. They might say, forget it. It's not worth it to go any further and to go back to jail, because his next move gotta be his best move. And to be honest, 42 Dugg's story is one of them ones that lets you know why the street life has too many pitfalls to play around with. From hustling in Detroit to signing with CMG, from platinum plaques to prison walls, it just shows just how quickly momentum can vanish. The same system that once gave him a stage stripped it all away when he missed that one court date. His tweet wasn't just a warning, it was a reality check. Jail doesn't just lock you up, it erases you. For every artist on the come up, for every young fan chasing clout, for every street guy who thinks respect lasts forever, Dugg's words should hit different. Once you're gone, the world keeps moving. We've seen plenty of examples of this all throughout the rap game. It happens over and over again. Once you get locked up, it's harder to come out and generate a buzz. Yeah, when you first get out of jail, you might do a welcome back song, or you might do My First Day Out. But after that hype wears down, where are the fans really going to be? They're usually going to gravitate right back to the hottest artist of the time. And depending on how many years you've been out, you might just be too far disconnected to really make an impact. Whether or not he rebuilds his career, his message already carries weight. Because of 42 Dugg, the pain of being forgotten might be his hardest sentence of all.